Pain at the bottom of your foot, generally around your heel, but can also lead into the arch, can be plantar fasciitis. Plantar fasciitis is inflammation of your plantar fascia, which is your connective tissue, of course, at the bottom of your foot. There's some scenarios where this isn't necessarily inflammation of the connective tissue, such as plantar fasciosis, which is more of degeneration of the plantar fascia. Now, regardless of what kind of pain you're experiencing in the bottom part of your foot, I'm going to show you how to address it with a specific routine. First, we need to determine what foot shape do you have, because this can affect what protocol that you're going to follow in this routine. Now, the first foot shape we're going to talk about is a higher foot arch. This is, of course, where you're in more of a supinated foot position and your arch is obviously quite big. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, but we need to educate the foot on what it needs to do. Now, if we have a high foot arch and we can't pronate the foot when we are walking or jogging or running or performing weight training movements or activity, this can be problematic, because if we are constantly in the shortened position with this high foot arch, the plantar fascia here is becoming really tight. It's pulling together, and that's going to cause us a lot of pain. So we need to teach the foot how to pronate. When we teach the foot how to pronate, then this means that our tibia here is internally rotating, acting on the foot to actually flatten out. Now, this is genuine pronation. This isn't a collapse of the foot arch, which leads to the second foot shape, which is more of a collapsed foot arch. This is where the foot is more collapsed in towards the floor. Now, I don't want you to mistake this for pronation, because pronation is a very important critical movement that we need to do with the foot. A collapse in is a compensation for pronation. Now, this is where you can experience plantar fasciitis, because all the tissues here are constantly lengthened in the bottom part of the foot. So in this scenario, we need to teach the foot how to supinate and build that proper foot arch and strengthen more of the foot arch. And that's going to help bring the foot into a better position. Now that you have a brief understanding of the two different foot shapes I was talking about, either a higher foot arch or a collapsed lower foot arch, determine this on yourself by either assessing your foot, looking in the mirror, or have someone else even just look at your foot and determine, is this a higher or a lower foot arch? Now, the first step I always take is focusing on decompressing your fascia. This is your plantar fascia that we're talking about. But just because the pain is in the foot doesn't necessarily mean that that is always the cause. When we understand that our fascia connects us from head to toe, and if we dissect more of the superficial back fascial meridian, I know that's a mouthful of words, but this connects all the way from the bottom of your foot, your plantar fascia, all the way up the calf, through the hamstring, all the way to the top of the head. Pretty wild. So that means that if we have certain areas in this fascial meridian that's tight and we're connected through this chain through fascia, then that can pull and tug on other areas. Now, a highly effective way, regardless of what foot shape you have, we're still going to decompress the calf, because this has a massive influence directly on the foot. So grab a block from Block Therapy, or you can grab a tightly rolled up towel. This will definitely get deeper and be more effective, but this will still give you a good sense of what we're trying to accomplish here. Now, I am sandwiching my hamstring and my calf with the towel, and I'm just slowly starting to build this pressure. Now, in order to decompress your fascia, we need to spend time here while consciously breathing through our diaphragm, which is going to bring us to more of a parasympathetic, relaxed state. And that's going to help to give our body permission to decompress. So let's start by just either being on the hands like this. You can lean back, really get comfortable. And let's start just breathing in and out through the nose, through the diaphragm, feeling the rib cage and your belly simultaneously expanding. And then as you exhale, get nice and small. Just find and get into a good rhythm and flow. Now, once you've settled in for maybe a minute or so, you can slowly start to search to the left, and then you can even search towards the right. you can lean back, you can get a little creative, but the slower you move, the deeper you're going to get. Now, once you spent 3 to 5 minutes here, we're gonna nice and slowly exhale up and off. If you have pain just on your left side, then just focus on the left side or just one side. If it's on both, then you can absolutely do both sides. Now that we have released the calf and the hamstring, we're gonna start working more in the plantar fascia. Now, I like working with the block because I have a little bit more control. You can try using a rolled up towel, which won't really get deep enough, but you can also try using a ball as I mentioned. Now, I'm gonna show using both of these. I would recommend using the block to get started. And all we're gonna do here is get close to a wall like this so that we are holding on to it for stability. Now, whatever side you're wanting to work on, nice and slow. If you have a higher foot arch, it's gonna be more important to focus in more of the inside portion of the foot, which is gonna be more of the arch of the foot. Now, if you have a flatter foot arch, you might be wanting to work more of the outside portion of the foot. So as we're getting settled into this, you can use your opposite leg for balance on the floor like this, and just very slowly start building that pressure. And we're gonna be staying here for approximately 3 to 5 minutes. Now, if you find an area that's quite painful, then stay there, hang out and breathe. That's telling you that this area is very compressed, that we need to start sending more blood and oxygen flow and releasing this area. So after you spent that 3 to 5 minutes, you can exhale up and off. Now, you see a lot of people online using a ball like this on the bottom of their foot, and a lot of people say that it's not really that effective. Now, I think it can be very effective, but you have to do it properly. For example, if I am just simply going like this and rolling, that's staying on the surface layers of tissue. But to make this effective, we need to isometrically stay in a position. I can find an area like this that I can feel is dense in my foot, and I'm just gonna hang out here for 2-3 minutes, and then I might find another area, and I might just spend a total of 5 minutes doing this. But rolling back and forth is not really going to get to the root cause or really hydrate the fascia enough. It is so dense there that we need to spend time to actually give it permission to release. Now that you've released your fascia, let's start to incorporate some exercises and movements. Now, this first exercise is focused on those who have a higher foot arch, and all you're gonna need is a sock or a small tea towel, something that we can position under a certain portion of our foot. Now, to get into this, the foot that we're working, we're gonna bend out to the side like this at about 90 degrees. Now, I'm positioning this just under the ball of the big toe, but not my actual big toe. So I'm just using the corner here, and this is gonna raise the first metatarsal head, the ball of the big toe, up higher, which is going to allow us to pronate the foot more effectively and just give us more of a sense of what this feels like. So now, as we're in this position, I don't want you to lose contact of the inner heel, the first metatarsal head, or the fifth metatarsal head, because if we do, then we're collapsing or compensating. Where we want the foot to actually pronate and spread, the plantar fascia is going to spread, create space, and then we'll contract it and come back so that we're creating this massaging effect. Now, as we're here, bring your weight to that thigh, and let's start with the knee slightly behind the foot in this negative shin angle, and then nice and slow, without losing those points of contact, we're gonna bring the knee over the first and second toe, and then we're gonna nice and slow come back. I want you to feel, once you start doing a few repetitions, nice and slow, that your foot is starting to flatten as you bring the knee over the toe. We need the foot to pronate as we bring the knee over the foot or over the toes, which is dorsiflexion. So let's perform about 10 to 15 repetitions. You can even go upwards of 20. And without that underneath, look at the difference between my foot shape. When I bring it back, this is more of that higher foot arch. When I am starting to come forwards like this, we're gonna see that my foot arch is starting to drop to the floor. And it's important that you perform about 10 to 20 repetitions, 2 to 3 sets daily until you start feeling your foot pain going away. This next exercise is for those who have more of a lower foot arch or a collapsed foot. And this is going to teach us how to regain the strength to bring it back up and build that proper supination in the foot. We're gonna be positioning this ball between our heels like this, and we're gonna be performing a certain variation of a calf raise. Now, this is going to activate all the proper muscles to rebuild the arch and also train late phase of our gait cycle into that supination. Now, I'm just gonna be leaning up against the wall here. I'm gonna position this between my heels like this. To get started, I want you to make sure you don't lose these 2 points of contact on the floor. So even as we're squeezing, I don't want you to lose the outside of the foot. I want you to try to feel that they are making contact the entire time. Let's squeeze and exhale, come on up. Inhale, come on down. Exhale, come on up. Inhale, come on down. And we're gonna be performing anywhere from 10 to 20 reps. If you can do more, that is great. Make sure that you're doing at least 2 to 3 sets of this and perform this, of course, daily until you start feeling that your plantar fasciitis or your foot pain is starting to go away. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure that you rewatch this video to see exactly what fascia decompression and exercises you should be performing based on your foot shape, and I'll see you in the next video.